On today's podcast, we're delighted to talk to Dr Pedram Shojai, who is well known as the Urban Monk. He's a doctor of Oriental medicine, a taoist priest, a qigong master, filmmaker, and a New York Times bestselling author.
We met Pedram when we were in the US at a health conference, and we hit it off immediately. In this episode, Dr. Pedram shares his insights on the cause of the midlife crisis, how we often get trapped in the medical system of cure rather than prevention, and how we're constantly being distracted from taking responsibility for our own life.
There's so much in this podcast that will get you thinking, perhaps in new and different ways, and we hope you enjoy the conversation as much as we enjoyed recording it. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. We're doing a run of interviews. It's really
amazing,
fun.
but it's fantastic. It's great. I'm loving it. We're learning so much, getting so many insights, feeling really inspired.
And you're going to be loving it, listeners, because it's not just James and I. So although we did get some really amazing figures in for our podcast, we're now listened to in 56 countries.
We are.
And what other stuff did you find out on Spotify when they sent you?
Spotify sends you like your roundup of the year, and we found that our most shared episode was about the andropause, but our most popular episode was our navigating midlife crisis or transition.
So if you haven't listened to that, that was super popular, and apparently you're sharing it on WhatsApp. It gives you a lot of detail. So it's sincerely, thank you so much. We've been doing this for 3.5 years now, and sincerely, your messages mean a lot to us, and the fact that you're sharing it, liking it, and giving us lovely reviews now. I think we've got over 80 5-star reviews now, which is just amazing. So thank you, everyone. But without further ado, that's enough about us. Let's introduce our guest.
So we have Dr. Shojai, known as the Urban Monk. So you're a doctor of Oriental medicine, a taoist priest, a qigong master, filmmaker, New York Times best-selling author, and I'm sure lots of other things as well that we're going to discover. Welcome, Pedram.
It is great to see you guys. Good to be here.
Oh, great to see you. Of course, we are seeing each other again because we met up in Arizona, didn't we? We were gym buddies almost.
We did. We were at a health conference, and I was sitting there wondering why the hell no one was in the gym other than us three. Every morning.
Conversation. Yeah, the only ones in there from the hundreds of people.
We were the hardcore ones in there at about 6:30, just like high-fiving each other, going, "Yeah, of course, we would be doing this. It's a health conference. We're healthy people."
That's it. I mean, and honestly, it's about habits, right? So if your habits don't have you doing that stuff in the mornings, when the hell are you going to do it, right? Like it's a part of my operating system, rain or shine. And, we had a couple banquet nights where you had a couple drinks and went to bed at like 1.
Yeah.
You still get up and go, right? That's the deal.
Yeah. Well, that's the deal. Like when we were traveling around the US, there were only a few days where we actually did book hotels only if they had gyms.
Yeah.
So, but there were a few days where we didn't, and we got a little bit funny about it, didn't we?
We did. But we managed to work out pretty much all the time.
Traveling around, we were working out all the time. But Pedram, it's really, really amazing to have you here. Like we really connected. James didn't actually, because there were lots of different workshops, and we decided to split it when we were at the conference. But I came to your workshop, and you actually mentioned later on that night that I was just, I was really, really enthused by what you were talking about. I love your style. I was just reading through your website as well earlier on today, and I just love everything that you stand for. And it's a real no bullshit approach. And you're not trying to be a guru. You're trying to give people the tools so that they can get out of their own way, essentially. And I love that about you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Yeah,
really,
there's a lot of bullshit. right?
Yes.
And a guy like me, you know, can park up in a corner and play doctor and mind my own business and live my own life. But there was so much bullshit and so many people trying to sell miracle pills and be a guru and all this stuff that I had to come out and be like, come on, that's not what we're doing here, right? And you know, someone's got to hold the line. And so here's this guy.
Yeah, and you know, when I was in the workshop and you were talking about, it just really made me laugh about how we multi-layer everything and overcomplicate everything, and how actually I was, because actually at that point in time, I think 2023 has been an interesting year where we have definitely overcomplicated our approach and our business. So just to have someone that's done so much like you have, just say, look, we need to, there is so much bullshit out there. There's so many people trying to sell you this in kind of business and how you operate your business, that actually we need to pull it back to the bare bones and simplify our life for a much happier life.
Amen. There's an entire industry that is built around selling shovels at the gold rush, and really has nothing to do with your productivity, has nothing to do with serving the planet, but is just kind of like eating off that middle tier layer and making folks like you more tired and less profitable. And I've been vamped by them over the last 20 years myself. And you know, you fall for it because, you know, oh, you're smarter at this than I am. It doesn't necessarily mean they have work ethic. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to pencil for your business. It just means that you're bringing in more people you got to worry about, and then you got to bring in more money to pay for those people. And so, you know, it could quickly become exhausting if you are not good at understanding how to hire.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we dive into you telling us a little bit about your journey into becoming a taoist monk and then a doctor of Oriental medicine? Just tell us a little bit about your journey, because it's fascinating.
Yeah. Long story short, you know, Iranian immigrant, you know, the revolution made us all have to leave, right? Because we weren't down for that. And then, you know, showed up in America. And, you know, what do immigrants do? You're a doctor, lawyer, engineer. You know, that's what you do to, you know, get ahead. And so I was on path to being a doctor, you know, pre-med, UCLA, top of my class in high school and all the, you know, good boy shit. And then, you know, started meeting the doctors and interning in the hospital. I was like, man, this guy's miserable. Wow, this guy's a jerk. And really just got face to face with the American healthcare system and viscerally reacted and was like, this isn't health, this is sick care, this is yuck. And so really had a crisis of conscience, right? It's like, I don't want to do this. I'm looking down the barrel of living this guy's life. He's just putting people on morphine, right? And you know, granted, there's plenty of really well-intentioned great people in the healthcare system. I'm not here to shit on that, but he was my angel and pointed me in a different direction, which frankly at that point was just away. Right. And, you know, I not growing up under a spiritual inclination or faith or any of that, because, you know, religion, you know, broke my family and broke my country and all that. We didn't grow up religious. I was like, look, God, if you're out there, I could sure use a clue. And something that's not supposed to happen happened, which is a book fell out of a bookshelf in a library I was walking through. And I thought someone was fucking with me. I was like, someone pushed the book through. They heard me think it. Right. It's just that doesn't happen. And so, but it did. And so I picked up a book. It was about Taoism. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Right. Grew up watching Star Wars. So I understood the Jedi stuff. Read it cover to cover that night. And it was about this Taoist energy master leading his disciples across a river by connecting energy centers. And I was like, come on. Right. But, you know, I figured if I asked God for a clue and a book dropped, I should probably shut up and listen. So I found a Taoist Kung Fu school in Los Angeles, you know, in the phone book, right? This is how old I am. And so, you know, I dragged a buddy down there because I was like, this is too weird. And as I'm standing in the antechamber watching all these guys throw kicks and do all this stuff in this Kung Fu school, the teacher stops what he's doing, crosses the entire school, walks through the antechamber right by my buddy Jason, straight to me and says, I've been expecting you. And at this point, I'm like, look, this couldn't get any weirder. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, what am I doing here? Yeah, it was one of those, right? Where I'm just like, good, come on. Right. And so then I just became a disciple of a Kung Fu lineage and started studying Kung Fu, Tai Chi, Qigong, shit I couldn't even pronounce a day before, you know? And I'm doing all this stuff and like just coming to life. There's just energy coursing through my hands. And I'm just like, whoa, I don't need to believe in this. I experience this. Right. And that's a big thing. I don't ask anyone to believe in anything. I think that that is crap. Right. If you want to, you want to know God, you experience God. You want to know what chi feels like. Let me show you an exercise. Do it for a few days. You'll experience it. And then that experience is an undeniable fact within your own consciousness in this reality of yours. You know, being asked to believe in something, I think, is very, very dodgy. And so it
Yeah.
took me down this path, and then I ended up becoming a doctor of Oriental medicine to, you know, in half jokingly to please my parents, and also just because it was, you know, set matched with all the stuff that I was learning, right? And became a Taoist, became a minister, and then became an abbot of this Taoist lineage, and then kept going. But then, you know, inside the healthcare system was like, wow, this is, I'm back in the belly of this beast, and the insurance won't pay until there's a diagnosable illness. So I am in a system where the incentives are completely misaligned. All my training and all my practice and everything I have learned how to do is to prevent illness, to build vitality, but I'm in a system that only monetizes on illness. So I'm not technically allowed to bill your insurance until something breaks. So come back when you've fucked it up, and then I will put a Band-Aid on it. And so I was like, this is insane. This isn't what I trained for. This is why I left. So then I got into corporate wellness, consulting, and then moved into making films and books, and realizing that we were losing the propaganda war, and it was the idea of health and the idea of sickness that was the paradigm shift that we needed to really get around, instead of, you know, sitting there, you know, in the MASH unit patching up bodies. You got to negotiate peace, like, right? Like, you can't, you know, the MASH unit will be busy while people eat Nabisco, while people spray pesticides, while people drink Dr. Pepper, you know, keep going, right? While people have the aberrant lifestyles and think that medicine is there to fix things when they break, you're going to have a, you know, $1 trillion industry that's like Animal Farm, right? So I had to get out. It didn't feel right.
And how did that affect you, you know, like from a personal perspective? Because if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you had, so you did all of that training, which is, to me, that sounds like epic. Like that would have taken years and years and years and years. Like how old were you when you had, I hate using this word, but kind of like epiphany of like, literally my soul can't be in this anymore? How old were you, and what did that feel like? Were you scared? Were you like, oh, you know, what am I going to do now?
I was 19 years old, and it was one of the most disorienting moments of a 19-year-old's life. We grew up in the West in a very declarative culture. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm a doctor person. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is the track that I'm on. And, you know, we don't have it like the Aussies do, where you go, you know, go do a walkabout. And, you know, the Israelis after the army, it's like you go, you know, go fuck around, find out who you are, come back and, you know, do something. Right. We are just on track to join the workforce, get credit cards, and go in the West, right? Like it's insane. And so for me to fall off, you know, ranked number 1 in high school, and, you know, on track, like, you know, I was almost a year ahead before I even started at UCLA, and then suddenly, you know, pump the brakes and say, hey, I don't know about this. The entire weight of society and family obligations and what the hell are you doing noise confronted that deep soul feeling of this doesn't feel right. And then you have to learn to trust your feelings. You have to learn to trust your intuition against the weight of massive systems and habits, and, you know, all of it. It's incredibly disorienting, and and I see a lot of people fall back in, right, and be like, I can't, right? Like, I can't, you know, my mom's mad, right? Whatever it is, right? Like, I can't.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I always tell the story that it took me 14 years to get out of a career that I absolutely hated. Absolutely hated it. And I was doing stress management, consulting, coaching, all these other things, but I kept falling back, like you said, falling back into my career that earned me money and had status and all that kind of stuff, because that felt important to me, rubbing up against my soul, saying, no, this is wrong. This is what you're doing doesn't feel ethical even to you. So it totally resonates. Totally resonates. I was just a little bit older.
But it's hard. I mean, first of all, that's like an accelerated aging program, right? Doing that which your soul hates is grinding. It's grinding. You want to talk about midlife crisis? I mean, there's the formula, right? Just do shit you don't like, right? It's horrible. But also, look, there are the way the system works is there are tried and true catch basins. You know how easy it is for me to just, being a smart guy going into college to go sell money, right? Like go into the banking system and, do the thing and make the money and have the cars and all that crap. I mean, there are easy, well-burned paths, right? When you are playing along. And when you start to question and when you start to, reconsider things, you're in the wild world of entrepreneurs and parasites and danger and all of it. And so it is a rough road. You got to change your sneakers, you got to pack some water, and then you got to figure out stuff. And there are no training manuals for 85% of the stuff that I've done since I left that life, right? And so, probably burned off my hair figuring it out.
I know. Well, I always say I've definitely got more grey hairs in the last 8 years of running our own business.
Yeah, I love that you had the courage to do it though, because I think we can't underestimate like societal and family expectations. I'm still asking my parents like, oh, when are you actually going to get a proper job? When are you going to do something normal? And I'm like, I think it's a bit late now, actually.
Yeah.
Something I want to talk to you about is like what's your views on like the sick care system in the Western world? So over here, where luckily we have the free health service, National Health Service, but I'd argue that maybe in the past 2 decades, it's actually started to make people quite victimized in the sense that it treats the problem after it's occurred. So there's a kind of sense of like, you know what, I don't need to look after myself because once it happens, I'll just get taken care of anyway for free. Of course, it's not really, it's free to the person, but it's not free to the country. So that's why we have like rising taxes and all the rest of it. And it's interesting that the information is out there about what people should be doing. Millions is spent on campaigns saying, eat less of this, move your body more. The gap between intention and action is huge. Like, how do we get people? How do we fix this broken system and get people to start taking responsibility for their own health, so they don't end up in the care system to start with?
Yeah, that's the question of the hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can tell you that to me, the system is basically the equivalent of tequila and Advil, right? It's very simple. Just, do what you want, take some Advil in the morning, keep going. And then when your ulcers show up, there's a pill for that. And then when your, diabetes shows up, there's a pill for that. And you're just being vamped, right? You're being extracted upon. And so it's been a long journey for me, starting as a monk, going into healthcare, doing all that. And then I did, I've done films on health and environment and conscious capitalism. I've done, 10-part series on different, very specific areas of health, saying, look, if I could just teach them to fix their gut, and there's all these areas where we know the levers are, but as far as I have a lot of pro poker player friends. Say the saying is, "I'm so broke I can't pay attention." Right? I've come full circle back to the monk stuff after years of functional medicine and being the guy with a loudspeaker talking about all this stuff that you need to do to get your health together. I realized that we are losing to the attention economy. We are losing to the goldfish economy. We are losing to them being so distracted and unfocused that they couldn't stick to tying their shoelaces, let alone a diet or a lifestyle program or anything that's going to move the needle. And so I've folded back onto saying, shit, I got to wake these people up, right? The Buddhists call them hungry ghosts. And we are falling into this attention economy that just extracts our attention away from our goals, our priorities, our life, into whatever it is that we're told to focus on. And suddenly you're buying a new purse or a new car or going on some trip that promises, the bullshit. You come back just as tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, I just really felt that in the depths of my soul when you said that, because we have these conversations between us. We have these conversations with other people frequently, that people just want this constant distraction because they don't want to feel, they don't want to be in pain, they don't want to have to fix themselves, and phones and social media, it just gives them an opportunity to constantly hide from what needs to be done, because they're in a quick fix society. They're in, their attention is in like a millisecond, so they don't want to do anything that's going to cause them to have to focus and do the work. So it's much easier to, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, to play the victim and to say, oh, poor me, this is why I'm like this is why I'm, no, it's because you're distracted, you don't want to feel, you don't want to do the work, you don't want to take responsibility.
Yeah. And that's not a popular message, right?
It's
And
not.
that's the problem, right? Like, I come from a tradition of Kung Fu. The literal translation of Kung Fu, well, two ways to translate it. One is eat bitter. The other is work hard. None of those sell in marketing copy, right? Who the hell wants to work hard? But everyone I know who's a badass in life works hard at their lifestyle, works hard at their vitality, works hard at their mental health, and therefore has a kick-ass life. And then everyone wants what they have, but then are marketed to by these douchebags who promise a shortcut, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So true. It's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's even accelerating. We live in this quick fix society, and social media now is only like accelerating it. And you've got the coaches who coach coaches to be coaches of coaches, and you're just like, wow, where does this end?
Make your million in 6 months and get the body of your dreams by taking this pill. And no wonder everyone's lost. I love it. Hungry ghosts. I mean, like, how compelling an idea is that? It's, we're all searching for something, this kind of missing hole within us in all the wrong places.
Yeah, I just want to be very clear that that's not a Pedram original. Like, the Buddha himself said that, right? That is a Buddhist concept. And if you think about the orientation of looking for solutions, looking for answers, looking for peace, looking for protection, looking for health, looking for love outside yourself, you're a hungry ghost.
Yeah.
Boom. And and I just want to share, I know I've shared this to a degree on a couple of podcasts recently, but earlier on in the year I had burnout, and it was from constantly looking outside myself, striving. And here's the thing, the irony is, I've been a stress management consultant for years. We go into organizations, we talk about this stuff, you talk about it, but actually what you said right at the beginning as well, about knowing something, believing something, or feeling it goes from the mind to the heart space. And I think what happened for me when I went through the burnout was I had to come out of my mind, which is constantly seeking things outside of myself, and come into the heart and actually ask myself what's missing, like what's really, really missing within me. And that's where I, reclaimed my faith, really, actually, and realized that there was a God-shaped hole within me that needed nurturing. And it's made my life completely different since then. I'm still growing, but it's made my life very, very different. And I think that's what we're talking about here, isn't it? It's like constantly looking outside ourselves.
And that what you're alluding to in the crazy momentum that drags you forward, thinking you can't stop, or all the whole house of cards comes crashing down, right? And we have that in our career, we have that in just everything, instead of allowing parts of yourself to die, right? It feels terrifying, but I think we live in a culture, I called it in one of my books, time compression syndrome. Too many items on your timeline, too little time creates stress. It's very simple, right? And we start to wobble, we start to resonate in a frequency pattern that just isn't in line with nature, and it isn't in line with what keeps us in rest and digest and healing and all these, wonderful places that bring us whole. And so the only person that can control the pace, the volume, the velocity of your emanation is you. You have to fold yourself back into your heart and find that God space. You have to stop time and say, look, guys, I'm not coming out for drinks. I'm supposed to go to the gym, right? Or I got kids at home. What the hell, right? And so that's the problem is, we feel like victims, but we're making these decisions. And these decisions have downstream consequences. And if you look at your life right now, it's the sum of the decisions you've made probably in the last, decade or so, but, you might have made some bad choices as a kid. But if you start making better decisions now, you won't see six-pack abs tomorrow morning. But 10 years from now, you will live the life of your dreams. But who the hell waits for the tomatoes to grow off the vine? They want the tomato now. And that's the problem. We're not in sync with nature. So we're too damn impatient with the results. And we stop doing the thing 3 days after we start doing the thing. And so we never see results.
Yeah.
It's like I can't remember the proverb now, but it's like the man who plants the seed, knowing he'll never sit under the shade of the tree, but he's willing to do it anyway. Whereas no one is now. They're like, I just want the tree. I want the tree in the shade, like right now.
Yeah.
You've done so much, Pedram, like books, films. You mentioned while we were talking earlier that you're just like organizing a summit at the moment. What's your kind of heart-centered mission at the moment? What are you working towards and on at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, some would say I've done too much, right? I am constantly looking at, the integration of, the plants in my life garden. And, for a while I was gone 100 days a year, and I was like, oh, I should probably spend time with my kids, with my wife. And so, balance is something that you're always working towards. And, now I have a pretty good work-life balance. I think I've really found my stride, and, I'm doing a lot from home. Right. And, offline, we were talking about, I ski a lot, right? I've balanced my lifestyle in a way that's pretty effective. I've really fallen back on this concept of waking people up and getting them back from the attention economy and changing the way they think so that they then have a better operating system. Instead of saying, oh, what smoothie recipe is going to fix my life? It's like, it's not about any of that shit, right? Like, come on. Right. And so I've really kind of doubled down on fixing high level thinking, right, in the media that I do. And I'm just rounding out probably the last docu-series I'll do for a while, called Homesick Home, because it was so profound in digging up in the literature how much toxicity we are exposing ourselves to inside the four walls of our own homes, like 100 times worse air quality. Like, you just bought that stupid plastic thing, it's outgassing, the scented candle, the mattress. And so looking at, and what led me down this path was I had a bout of insomnia after coming back from summer in Europe. And I've never had insomnia, right? I'm a pretty relaxed guy. It's like, why the hell is this guy not sleeping? And I dug into the literature and realized that I had developed endotoxemia because I just went weapons free with gelatos and pastas and, what you do when you're traveling in Europe. And
in Italy, pasta.
when in Rome. Yeah, when in Rome.
exactly.
And I realized that there was a price to pay, and my gut lining was unhappy. And what was happening was the bacterial colonies in my gut, and the inflammation was leading to lipopolysaccharides, waking up my system and saying, hey, it's not safe. And so I started looking at all these alarm systems and why people aren't sleeping and why people's central nervous systems can't relax. And it was like, clear as day that gut lining, stuff that I've already done media on leads to that. But then I started uncovering all these toxins. How the hell are you going to feel safe if you're huffing paint? How are you going to feel safe if you have flame retardant chemicals on the sheets that you just bought? And so as I started digging this up, I was like, oh my God, this is a really big story. And so we're just finishing a 6-part series on this. And
Wow.
it's gotten me changing a lot of things. Like our Wi-Fi goes off at night. Like yes, the EMF, I thought it was bullshit. I thought it was like hippie woo quantum chip bullshit. And then I started looking at it going, oh no, this is a thing. Uh-oh. Right. And so, getting your vitality going, I think has, it's assets and liabilities, right? What you want to do is cut out the things that take away the liabilities that take away your vitality. So it's like, okay, why am I sitting around all these buzzing things? Why are all these things plugged in by my bed? Why am I huffing paint? Why is the gas in my kitchen leaking and I never looked at it? So you got to look at all of the inputs, minimize those, and then you do these life begetting, vitality generating practices like the green smoothies and the qigong and the yoga and the prayer and all of it to bring up the assets. And in doing so, you really start to tilt the scales, and then people start coming back to life. And so again, I'm a guy always looking for leverage because we're losing, right? We are losing in healthcare. People think Ozempic is an answer. Here's a question.
I saw one of your latest videos about that, and I was like, woohoo! But yeah, Ozempic. It's
yeah. And listen, if you're morbidly obese and you're about to croak because of it, absolutely, it's wonderful. But people who are 20 pounds overweight who think Ozempic's going to fix them, guess what happens when you lose the 20 pounds? No one's going to prescribe that shit to you anymore. And then you got to learn how to eat better anyways, or you're on the black market trying to find Ozempic like some sort of crack whore, right? Like it's insane. Welcome to the medical model. Again, the pill doesn't fix it. Stop that, right?
I know it is. It beggars belief, to be honest. It really does.
It's a bugbear of mine. So over here, they've just announced they're going to actually prescribe it on the NHS to people. So they'll get 2 years of Ozempic. But that's great. But like they'll lose the weight in those 2 years, but there's no behavior change, no belief change, no habit change with it. As soon as they stop, guess what? They're just going to pile the weight straight back on again.
Totally. And the pharma model is great because then they'll be a customer again in another 90-day cycle. Right.
Yeah.
If you are part of the parasitic extraction oriented system, you just feed them the nachos and the Doritos and the whatever, and let them do the ups and downs. Now it's medically indicated. They get back on the pills. Taxpayer could grumble a little bit. The taxpayer is told to look at like the Nigerian immigrants or the Mexicans. The taxpayer is distracted by problems that aren't the real problems, and they're just paying for this stupid animal farm. It's insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing as well to have these conversations, because we have these conversations between ourselves all the time. And actually, they don't really know what the long-term negative implications of people being on this.
Well, no one's taking it long term.
No one's taking exactly. No one's taking it long term enough to actually know what the side effects are. But so
it's so true what you say about distraction, though. Like in thousands of years, we've learned nothing. So even in ancient Rome, it was like bread and circuses, i.e., keep the people fed and distracted.
Then they don't know what's going on. And then look what happened to Rome.
Exactly.
The Roman Empire. So having worked. A little question for you. Having worked with so many people over the years, what are some of the most common things that prevent people from optimal health? I mean, we've covered some of this stuff, but if you were to pinpoint in everything you've done, because you've done so much, what is it that really prevents people from reaching their optimum health?
Yeah, first you have to immediately, right now, as you're listening to this, decide that you're not going to be a victim ever again. Point blank, whatever has gone on is your fault. And because you didn't know it means that you didn't know it, but it's still your fault. So get back on the horse and take control of your life. I don't care what it was. Listen, there was atrocities that occurred with my family coming out of a revolution. I refuse to be a victim. I move forward, right? And every single one of us has ultimate accountability to ourselves and the outcomes. That's it. Not the doctor. The police isn't there to protect you. You protect yourself. The doctor's not there to heal you. You heal yourself. You could enlist folks to help, but you are ultimately accountable. Number one. Then from there, listen, none of this stuff is actually that complicated. Inflammation is the root of all disease. Inflammation starts in your gut. Stop eating shit that tears your gut lining. Stop eating shit that didn't come from Mother Nature. Stop eating the preservatives and the pesticides and the crap that poisons you. Stop poisoning yourself. Allow 90 days for your gut lining to heal. You will turn over those endothelial cells. Within 6 months, you are a new person, and then you start building muscle so that your mitochondria could crank out more energy, and that energy is like cash, and then you could invest it forward in your life. It's not that complicated.
I love that. Boom.
I love all of that. I have this big Cheshire cat grin on my face. Exactly that. It's like listening to conversations that we have between ourselves all the time. But like you say, it's not a popular view, is it? I did, for example, I did a TikTok video a little while back about victims, like playing the victim. Take responsibility for your life, not just your health, but for your life. Oh my goodness. I had equal parts of, 100% agree. Everyone else, no, because of this, 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 because of this. And you're like, yeah, we've all had this, and this, and this to varying degrees. Some people have had worse than you. They have still got off their backside, taking responsibility, stop playing a victim, and they're making something of their life.
What you just talked about is really bad for business, because the entire marketing industry needs you to feel like there is a reason, and here's the solution that fixes that. The entire marketing industry is about finding those little wounds and interjecting and saying my product or my solution is here to fix that.
Yeah.
Just anyone who's, if you're not familiar, because I had to study all this shit when I got into media to be like, what are we doing and how do the good guys play in the attention economy? It's a lot of black hat manipulation. And so if you are really fighting for your victim identity, just know that there's been millions and millions and millions of marketing dollars put into supporting that thesis for you to continue to believe it, but it's bullshit. Wake up. You're a hungry ghost.
Love that.
On that.
That's a good place.
Note. It really is. It really is. Pedro, it's been so amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Share this time with you. And I know how busy you are. And it's just such an honor to have connected with you in America. And then to be able to share, I don't know, like so many commonalities on value systems and the way that we view the world, actually. So I feel very, very blessed. Thank you for your time. So if people, because I know they're going to want to, how do they find out more about you? How do they connect with you? Can you share that?
Sure. Happy to. Everything is at theurbanmonk.com. It'll kind of signpost to all the films in the series and all this stuff. And I just want to say, listen, I met you too, and I was like, what a delightful couple. What wonderful energy. What a wonderful thing. And you know what? That didn't happen by sleeping in. That happened because I chose to get up and go to the gym and do the things that are a little harder, that are better for me. And when I took that first step towards my own vitality, then I meet this lovely couple. And that's how goodness begets goodness, right? Start doing things that are good for you, and you will meet people along that journey that bring up the light and bring up the positivity. And we met through that very circumstance. So I just want to say, like, look, these are the auspices under which we met and this conversation happened, is we decided to get our asses up and do the right thing every morning.
I love that.
I love that. It's so true.
And it's so amazing that you, like we felt that energy around you, and that's how we connected. And we were like, actually, we need to have him on the podcast. When I reached out to you, I was like, he needs to be on the podcast, because there was so much affinity in the energy. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for your
Pedram.
time. It really has been an honor.
You guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.